Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Friday, September the 5th, 2025, and Neil just doing his business there, leaving his messages. It's funny, dogs have their own way, don't they? They check the messages every day if you take them on the same sort of routes, and they leave a message for their the counterparts that might be walking past a little bit later in the day. He loves it, especially this fence where we are now. It takes us a long time to get past it. There's a lot of messages to check. But a little bit chilly this morning. The ice is on the grass, but on Monday heading over to Las Vegas. Looking forward to a little bit more warmth over there. I did check the weather, and I think it's going to be low 30s. So very, very welcome weather. A little bit more warmth, obviously, but without the stifling heat that Las Vegas normally sort of provides this time of year. Normally it's probably mid to high 30s. But yeah, really good to see that it was only sort of 30, 31. I think it might even be a 29 thrown in there as well. So very, very good weather without being uncomfortable. So looking forward to that and getting over there. And the excitement is starting to build. 1 week away. Well, what is it? Australian time, was that 9 days away? Yeah, 9 days. So the 14th over here. But it's going to be exciting. Looking forward to it. I'll get to the local front in a minute, the local news, but just quickly a couple of things that happened on this day back in boxing history. Just a couple of things. 1998 in England, two Britons went to war. Richie Woodhall defeated Glenn Catley for the WBC super middleweight title. In 2014, a double-header, Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez won the world flyweight title by knocking out his Japanese opponent Akira Yagaishi. That was in the 9th round. And on the same card, Naoya Inoue defended the world light flyweight title with a knockout of his Thai opponent in the 11th round. I'm not going to try and even pronounce. And yeah, both fights, as I said, took place in Tokyo. And the other thing that took place on this day, a monumental day for all boxing fans, Muhammad Ali, aka Cassius Clay, won the gold medal at the Rome Olympics. And what a career that Cassius Clay / Muhammad Ali would have. I think he won the world title in '64, so he would have been, I think he was 24 when he won it. So obviously only would have been 20 years old at the Rome Olympics. So, and obviously launched one of the greatest boxing careers of all time, and he's still sadly missed is Muhammad Ali, as is George Foreman, Joe Fraser, recently Joe Bugner. It's the worst thing about sort of getting old or older, when a lot of your heroes from the back in the day start to pass away, and whether that's sport or movies or whatever it might be, or obviously family. But yeah, sometimes it's hard to swallow. But he passed away in 2016, the great man, and yeah, too many have followed him since then, which is a shame. All right, on to the local front. Now, yesterday I saw a little bit more from George Rose as far as Nikita versus Michael and what's going on with the card. I did see actually that Casey Dixon, the opponent for Paulo Acuso, has been denied a visa, will not be coming into the country. And I think, is it just me, wouldn't you sort of know that a fair way out? I mean, we're only, 2 weeks away from that event. Wouldn't you think that, first of all, if you got an opponent with a checkered past like Casey Dixon has. I'm just watching a car go past at about 30 kilometres an hour with a guy who's just flat out on his phone texting somebody. And he's about to, he almost just crossed the road with an oncoming truck coming the other way, or a little trade truck. Just some people, fair dinkum, just blatantly on his phone, doing about 30 k's an hour all over the road. But anyway, yeah, so I just would have thought that Casey Dixon, the promoters, in this case No Limit, would probably know in advance that it might be a little bit hard to get someone like Casey Dixon into the country. And when they're putting these shows together and getting opponents, maybe could even be a good idea to contact the visa office or whoever's in charge of it, I don't even know how it works, and say, do you reckon this guy's going to have a bit of trouble getting in? Get some advice. Because here we are 2 weeks out, and Paulo Acuso has probably been preparing very hard for Casey Dixon, has now had to change tact or change tactics and focus, and look at his opponent, Shukurat Abdullayev, who is a fighter from Uzbekistan. And with a name like that and being from a country like that, you can probably gather he's probably had a lot of amateur experience, I'm probably thinking, and we'll probably give Paulo Okuso some rounds. But yeah, it just seemed a bit odd to me that you wouldn't have more advice about the status of someone's visa no more than 2 weeks out from the actual fight. So anyway, but I don't know, George continued, sort of teasing this Nikita and Michael Zerafa, Jarvis situation. Look, I'm not sure if I speak for all boxing fans out there, but I'm sure as hell going to speak for me, as I always do. I am sick of it. I have had it up to here. George, either sign the fight and get it done or shut up. I'm sick of the dangling the carrots out to fans and the little Easter eggs and the little remarks and the little sly little smiles when he's interviewed. I'm sick and tired of the press conferences and weigh-ins and all these sort of things that all the main event shows they do, and it always comes back to what's going on with Nikita, what's going on with Michael, what's going on with Tim. Not so much Tim, he's obviously on a hiatus, but even the commentators just keep coming back to it over and over and over. Well, I'm just sick of the Don King routine. Sign the fight or shut up and move on. I am over it. Okay, the fight doesn't really excite me that much anyway, but we've got George Rose with his little tidbits he keeps throwing out, these little remarks he keeps putting out there. We've got Michael Zerafa doing full-blown interviews saying the fight's actually signed when apparently it's not. And I'm sort of a little bit over. I know it'll upset Michael. I'm already sick of him, with the yapping he does. I mean, let's just sign the fight and get on with it. And if not, can we all just move on and get different opponents and go on with our careers? Because again, I'm not sure I speak for all boxing fans here in Australia, but I think we just want action. Come here, man, more than words. Okay, it's getting a little bit tiresome. So that's the way I see it anyway. I'm just a bit, look, at the moment in this sport, probably more than ever, not just here in Australia, but abroad as well, there is far too much talking and posturing and sledging and all this bullshit that goes on outside the ring, promoters treating boxing fans like idiots, and not enough action in the ring. These guys fight, a lot of them fight once a year, once every 18 months, whatever it might be, and there's more action outside the ring than in it. So in this case here, with Michael Zerafa, Nikita Tszyu, Brock Jarvis, whoever the hell it is, can we just get on with it or move on? Sign some other fights, get some other shows going, and I don't know whether the Australian press, the boxing press, just simply have nothing else that they really want to write about unless it's got a zoo at the end of it. But surely there's plenty of other boxing news going on out there at the moment with Aussies that they can write about without just continuing to rehash and recycle this bullshit about Nikita Tszyu and Michael Zerafa, and then you've got Brock Jarvis thrown in as well. All right, so just get it done or shut up. That's my little message anyway. And I think I did see that George did say as well that they haven't ruled out Tim Tszyu fighting before the end of the year, which I personally think is ridiculous. I think he should be not even thinking about it at the moment. I think he should just be enjoying his little hiatus, his holiday, and forget about boxing for the rest of the year. That would be my advice. And I can't believe George would even be bringing Tim Tszyu's name up. If he, just again, my opinion, I'm a little bit opinionated this morning, aren't I? I apologise, but I just get pissed off about this sort of stuff. And if George Rose cares about, in my opinion, Tim Tszyu as a person and not just his cash cow, I would think that he would not even be entering into any talks with Tim Tszyu. And I've got a feeling that behind closed doors in the management part of Tim's team, Glenn Jennings and his uncle Igor and everyone else, I'm pretty sure they'd be saying, Tim, maybe the best thing is to just take it easy for the rest of the year. We know you might be bursting out of your skin and looking to get back in there before the end of the year, but if we want to just start the year afresh or start your career afresh, let's just take the rest of the year off and enjoy the time off with your wife. He's now got a little niece as well, So just enjoy your time, reset, maybe do a little bit more traveling, spend some time with your loved ones, and then reset for 2026. We're now into September. You know, the busy time for boxing's almost over. I mean, what's you got? Probably a couple of months or maybe 2 to 3 months to go. Not much normally happens in December. So just do what maybe Anthony Joshua's decided to do. He had a similar devastating defeat. He's had injuries as well, of course, but it's like, I think I saw an interview with Eddie Hearn where he said that, you know, we're just getting towards the end of the year, so we might just put the cue on the rack and just reset for 2026 and spend the rest of the year just recovering, enjoying life, and then going again in 2026 as a reset. And I think that's what Tim needs to do as well. Forget about fighting this year. I don't care even if he fights a local homeless bloke down from the local RSL. I don't think it means anything. Just continue on with what you're doing, take a mental break from the sport, and as I said, come back in 2026 nice and refreshed, ready to go, and just treat the start of 2026 as the big reset. Now, where that leads Tim, who knows? But I think it just gives him the best chance, the best opportunity to attempt to get his career back on track. No guarantees, of course, but I just think his management team will be doing that. And for George Rose to even bring it up, I know he didn't say he wants Tim Tszyu to fight again, but he said, look, if Tim wants to fight, no, that's what we do best. We'll put him in the ring and put the fight on. What George probably should have said is, hey, I'm not taking Tim Tszyu questions at the moment. The team's got some decisions to make as far as what he's going to do going forward, but we're always here in support of Tim. He's our fighter. We've backed him. We've been through a lot together, and let's just leave it at that. That's the way I think a professional promoter should be handling themselves, not continuing to throw out little carrots to everybody for the Australian public, or sorry, the Australian press to nibble on and run with it however they want. Because the next story will probably be George Rose announces Tim Tszyu will be back. But now the question starts with, who's he going to fight? And then they start throwing up all these potential opponents and this and that, and all of a sudden hope starts to rise and criticism starts to creep in, because there's people like me saying, what are you thinking, even considering putting him in the ring towards the end of the year. So I just think he almost needs to take a bit of a leaf out of some of the footy coaches out there. Just play it with a straight bat, give the press only as much as they need, and don't just throw out these little things that enable the press to run with it and create their own stories. So let's see. But that's the Australian scene at the moment. But as I said before, I know he does it pretty much all the time, George Rose, but I'm just a little bit over this, this continual beat up about, all these three fighters, Nikita, Michael, and Brock as well. All right, what's going on in the world scene? Come here, man. Just take him into the muddy parts of the grass here. All right, so we've got Canelo and Crawford next week, as I said before. Now, I was reading an article yesterday, and it sort of got me thinking, and it was some David versus Goliath situations, which this is. Now, it gave some examples of when the little man had moved up and beaten the big man. Now, disturbingly for Terence Crawford, there is not a lot to write home about as far as the little man moving up and beating the big man. Now, come here, man. Let's get through here. Thanks, buddy. You've just taken me right through mud and puddles. Disturbingly, there's not a lot of success for the little men moving up. Now, you might say, oh, hang on, plenty of smaller guys have moved up in weight. The difference in this situation, though, is that I'm talking about fighters that have taken a giant leap at once, not fighters that have moved through the divisions like a Manny Pacquiao or Oscar De La Hoya or Floyd Mayweather, these types of guys. I'm talking about fighters that have had at least a 2-division jump in one hit, and the success they've had, and there hasn't been many. The ones that probably have, this is in recent times I'm sort of going by. I know someone like Henry Armstrong had 3 world titles at one time, but this is just recent time. So the ones that probably have had success I'd go back to 1985 for probably the first one. That was when, this is in my time anyway, when Michael Spinks moved up from light heavyweight to heavyweight. and beat Larry Holmes for the heavyweight title. I'd probably go back to, what was the other one I remember? 2008, Manny Pacquiao moving from he sort of went from featherweight to lightweight up to welterweight, didn't he, to beat Oscar De La Hoya, who was coming down from middleweight. So massive performance that was. And I know a lot of people will say that Oscar was washed. Well, we didn't really know that at the time. And I think Manny Pacquiao had a lot to do with the fact that Oscar De La Hoya looked very, very washed in that fight. He was absolutely brilliant in that fight with De La Hoya. The other one, I think, was Roy Jones Jr. when he moved up to beat John Ruiz for the heavyweight title. Was massive. Probably go back as well. The other one I can think of as well is Sugar Ray Leonard when he moved up to beat Donnie Lalonde. Lalonde, the golden boy from Canada. Sugar Ray had beaten Marvelous Marvin Hagler in 87 at middleweight, and in this fight he fought Lalonde. Now it was a catchweight though at 168, although it was for the light heavyweight title. But regardless of what the title and weights were, Lalonde was the current WBC light heavyweight champion, and Sugar Ray had gone up from middleweight, and before that he'd obviously gone up to fight Hagler. Now the Hagler one I don't really count, and I'll tell you why. Because Hagler was a very, very small middleweight for starters. He probably could have made 154. And Leonard, before he retired, had actually fought at 154 and won a belt at 154. So I don't really see that fight as monumental. I know everyone's saying, well, he went from welterweight to middleweight. But as I said, I just think size-wise, they were very, very similar. And the fact that Leonard had won a belt at 154 and Hagler probably should have been fighting at 154, that's probably why, as I said, I discount that. Now, that's the successes. As far as the failures, this is again in recent times, I would probably look at featuring Canelo in a couple of these fights, Canelo and Amir Khan. Poor old Amir Khan learnt the hard way that you do not mess around and move up with the big boys, and he got to the 6th round against Canelo Alvarez. Actually done quite well in the first 5 rounds until Canelo decided, well, that's enough of playing with my food. Time to end this show. It was the first fight at the T-Mobile Arena. I was there, and one cracking right hand later, and it was all over. So that was a pretty stark reminder of maybe just be careful of what you bite off and chew. And the other one I could probably see was Kell Brook as well, when he moved up to middleweight to fight Triple G, which ended in a brutal stoppage as well. So there hasn't been a lot of success out there. Now, I don't know, fill me in if there's other stories you can think of. I think I wrote a couple down. That's probably the only ones I could sort of remember off the top of my head when I sort of wrote it down this morning. So there's only been about 4 or 5 success stories, in my opinion anyway, that I can think of guys or fighters that have moved up at least a couple of weight divisions at one time and had success. And there has been, I suppose, many failures as well. I mean, you've got to look at the amount of light heavyweights that tried to move to heavyweight. That is a massive jump, by the way. I mean, you're talking, maybe up to 50 pounds. That's a lot of weight. So it's probably got an asterisk beside those ones. But just in those lower weights, as I said, maybe was it Oscar, I think, when he moved up to fight Bernard Hopkins, but then again, he'd also won a belt at 154. He was going to 160. So anyway, give me your fights, if you can think of them anyway. But that's what I'm thinking of. But I suppose the long story short is that hasn't been a lot of success, but there's been an awful lot of failure with that happening. So, as I said, just give us your fights if you can think of them. What else have we got happening? Fundora and Thurman. They had the press conference yesterday, and it was pretty funny. Keith Thurman, as you knew he would, brought it to the press conference. I thought it was great when they faced off, and he jumped on the chair, and look, to Sebastian Fundora's credit, he just looked at him, had a little bit of a smirk on his face, and he was probably thinking, geez, I wonder why no one's thought of this before. But it was funny when he jumped on the chair. He probably just needed a little step or something, so at least might have been at eye level. But the size difference, again, like all Fundora's fights, is so stark, isn't it? Literally looks like Fundora is on a ladder or something, doesn't he? He is so tall. and Keith Thurman, like Tim and Mendoza and everyone before him, all looking up to the ceiling thinking, Jesus, this, and they get the same look in their eyes. All of them, the opponents that he fights, is like, geez, I knew this guy was tall, but he's probably taller than what I thought he was. That's the look they seem to get in their eyes, like, holy shit, how big is this guy and how does he make the weight? But I really liked Fundora with Thurman. I thought, as always, he brought the entertainment and the quotes and really livened up the press conference. Because, I mean, let's face it, even with Tim and Fundora, it was a pretty low-key, dull type of affair with the build-up to that fight as far as interviews. Both guys, were pretty straightforward in everything. There was no outrageous comments or anything happening at the press conferences and that sort of stuff. But really enjoyed Keith Thurman. Now, does he have a chance to win the fight? Yeah, of course he's got a chance. I doubt it, though. I just think he's been out of the ring for far too long. I know everyone here in Australia is sort of caught up on what he did to Brock, but I mean, let's face it, Brock's not exactly a world-class fighter. But if you take the Brock Jarvis fight out, I mean, once he had one fight in, is it 3.5 years, I think it is. That was his first win since 2019, I think it was. 2022, wasn't it? When he beat Barrios. So, yeah, look, it'll give Fundora a very, very good fight, but I just think the inactivity, the age, the size of Fundora as well, I'm just not sure whether Thurman will be able to break the code, I suppose, of that height differential. And even if he did, I'm not sure he's got Mendoza's type of power where he could knock Fundora out. I don't think he can outscore him. So, look, it'll be an entertaining fight. I'm looking forward to it. When is October 25th? What's on that weekend as well? There's another big fight. I think that's Joseph Parker, isn't it? And Fabio Wardley, which will be a big weekend for boxing fans. But, yeah, looking forward to the fights at the MGM. I think it'll be great. Really solid undercard as well, and gives us something to look forward to towards the end of the year. So, guys, having said that, that's going to do it for today. Hope you have an awesome Friday. I didn't want to say it at the start as well, but Collingwood supporters, enjoy the day. You deserve it. As much as I hate Collingwood, they were fantastic last night. Really pulled the pants down of the downhill skiers in Adelaide. It was great to see the look on those Adelaide supporters' faces over there, even though it was Collingwood's. But credit where credit is due. I hate Collingwood with a passion, but I give them full credit for last night. They were fantastic. So, if your team's in the footy finals this weekend, hope they have a win, and you enjoy the weekend. So, guys, have a great day. We'll catch you tomorrow.